The Snap Creator plugin for Lotus Domino is one of the most full-featured and complex plugins currently offered by Snap Creator. This plugin utilizes the Domino APIs for application consistency. It is OS independent. We currently have versions for Linux, Windows, AIX, and Solaris. The plugin is fully supported by NetApp Global Services, and it meets IBM support requirements because it uses the Domino APIs. Essentially how this plugin works is first we reach out to the Domino server, we get a list of all the databases and templates, we then have to individually put each file into backup mode. During the time that we're in backup mode, we're logging all changes to the database in a temporary space. This is called change info. Once all of the databases are in backup mode, we take our snapshot copy. Once the snapshot completes, we then exit backup mode. And again, this is called for each file individually. When using the Domino plugin for Snap Creator, there are a few specific installation steps that need to be followed. With Windows, you need to be sure that you're using the bit level of Snap Creator that matches the bit level of Domino. So for example, if you're using 64-bit Windows with 32-bit Domino, you must install 32-bit Snap Creator. This is because the Domino APIs are specific to the bit level version of Domino that is installed. There's also a pre-installation step for Windows, and that is that you need to add the Domino binary directory to the system environmental path. If you happen to do this step after Snap Creator is installed, simply restart the service. There are a few things to be aware of with Linux, Solaris, and AIX as well. On Linux, Domino is only available as a 32-bit application, so you must use 32-bit version of Snap Creator. For all Unix-based platforms, you cannot run as root. That's true for the Snap Creator server, the Snap Creator agent, and the Snap Creator GUI. This is because Domino itself cannot be run as root. There's a pre-installation step for Unix-based platforms as well, and that is that there are a series of 3 symlinks that need to be created. These are fully detailed in the Snap Creator install guide, and assuming you're installing to default locations, you can simply copy and paste these locations right out of the install guide. If you're installing to a custom path, you might have to alter what's in the guide slightly. There are 7 parameters that are required in order to use the Domino plugin. These parameters are on screen, but during the creation of your configuration file, there are helpful tooltips to show you how to set these up properly. So now we'll go ahead and create a config for the Domino plugin. Select a new configuration. Enter your config name. This is an application plugin, and I'm going to choose Lotus Domino. My Domino data directory is f:\domino data. My notes INI path is f:\domino data notes.ini. Notice I am including the actual direct path to the notes.ini file, including notes.ini. My change info path is change info. I'm going to choose a backup type of everything, so I have an application consistent copy of every Domino file. My Lotus installation directory is c:\lotus. And the path to my shared object files, in this case windows.dll files, is c:\lotus/domino. Finally, my data restore directory will be the same as my Domino data directory. Click Next. Enter the name or IP address of the agent, the port number if it's something other than the default, and finally the timeout. The Domino plugin requires a timeout with a minimum of 900 seconds. This is because the agent needs to stay alive during the entire quiesce and unquiesce process. Click Next to continue. Choose your transport and your controller information. Select your volumes. Click Next. Snapshot name, policy name, data retention. For the Domino plugin, it is recommended to set application ignore errors to yes. The reason for this is in the event that you encounter a database that has some sort of issue, for example, a corrupted database, this application ignore errors option will allow you to continue the snapshot. If ignore applications errors is set to the default of no in the event that a corrupted database is hit, the plugin will say, hey, I cannot put my Domino environment into a fully application consistent state, so I'm going to exit Snap Creator without taking a snapshot. This means if you have 2,500 databases and you have one corrupt one, you will not get a snapshot of the other 2,499 databases because you have one corrupted one. We don't really think that this is ideal, so the recommended procedure is to set ignore application errors to yes. If you have them, enter a Snap Mirror or Snap Vault relationship, or set up Operations Manager or Protection Manager. Review the summary, and click Finish. Open your new configuration file, and select Snapshot. So reviewing the logs, see we've quiesced our application, no errors encountered, quiesce finished successfully. Unquiescing databases, unquiescing finished successfully. And finally, Snap Creator finished successfully. While that output log is helpful, you can see a lot more information if you go into the debug log. To do this, I'm going to use the job monitor. I'm going to select my most recent run of Tampico and click Debug Logs. One of the nice things about the debug logs with the Domino plugin is it contains a list of every single database captured by the environment. So here we're opening every database and starting backup mode. Once the snapshot is taken, every database, we stop recording, record any of the change info or transactions that have occurred while the database is in backup mode, and then finally we end the backup. Once this has been done for every file, we close the databases. If you're using archive style transaction logging, any transaction log files that are needed in order to perform a restore are copied into the change info directory. Snap Creator finished successfully. I'm going to create one more configuration file. Again, an application plugin, Lotus Domino. This one is a Linux server. Enter the parameters, click Next. Enter the host name or IP address, the port number, and the timeout. And test your agent connection. In this instance, I'm going to leave the timeout at 60. I am not going to change it to the recommended setting of 900 or greater. Click Next. Choose your transport. Set up your controller. library volumes. Set a snapshot name. Ignore applications errors, yes. Next, 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 and finish. And I'm going to go ahead and take a snapshot. We'll notice right off the bat that this fails. The reason for this is something that's called plugin validation. This is a new feature to Snap Creator 3.6. And that allows us to make sure that certain parameters are set per best practices. So the error message that we received is plugin validation for Domino failed. SC agent timeout equals 60 is set, but plugin requires SC agent timeout equals 900 or higher. In this particular instance, we were getting a lot of customers that were having support problems, having to contact NetApp support because they were not setting this per best practice. With plugin validation, that means that the customer knows that the problem that they're having is that they need to change a parameter within their configuration file. All we need to do to fix this is go to the agent timeout section. Change my agent timeout. Save my config. And reload it. Run that snapshot again. And this time you'll see that plugin validation for Domino completed successfully. You may notice that there's a few more red lines down here. And this is the result of that ignore application errors being set to yes. As you can see, I have a couple databases listed here that I've encountered some errors while trying to quiesce them. I've noted those errors, but still I'm saying that quiescing databases finished successfully. An application quiesce for plugin completed but with errors. And Snap Creator continues. If ignore application errors was set to the default of no, Snap Creator would actually have exited at this point without taking a snapshot. Since it was set to yes, Snap Creator continues. And at the very end, we can see that the Snap Creator framework completed with errors. The result of that on the job monitor is a yellow condition telling us that we may want to look at this further. And if we look at the logs in debug mode, we can see file truncated, file may have been damaged, error opening databases, and database is corrupt, cannot allocate space. And at the end of the application quiesce section, we have a summary of any databases that may have failed. This completes backup with the Snap Creator plugin for Lotus Domino.